Hey guys, we're back with the notes for 2.3. We're going to do day 2 today. Today, all about piecewise functions, okay, and how to answer star questions. So how to make sure that even though in a tricky subject, these are actually some of the easiest star type questions to answer for multiple choice, okay? So if you would, write the definition of piecewise first of all, and then we'll get started. Perfect. Okay, so a piecewise function is multiple functions all graphed together, but sometimes you have to be aware of gaps. So we are going to go same way, domain and range from left to right, from bottom to top, and we're going to list out all the x's that we're using. The only difference you have to be careful of is that sometimes if you have open or closed circles, there is a gap left over, okay? All right, so the first thing I want to do is talk about domain. Can you guys do me a favor real quick on this first graph and draw your arrows on here? They got cut off on the picture. So we are assuming that there are arrows there, okay? All right, so if we talk about domain, we see that it's continuous, okay? So we don't just have dots. We are going to do a sandwich kind of situation. But if I look at my arrows, how far to the left do I go? Well, I have this arrow up here. This arrow is telling me that I'm going left forever, even though it's slow. So I'm going to start at negative infinity, okay? How far to the right do I go? Well, if I start tracing this and I move to the right, I go all the way to 0. I get to connect 0 to 1, and I get to, 2, and I get to go from 2 to 6. Here's the problem. At 6, there's an open circle, so I do not get to include 6 right there. Let's see if I use 6 somewhere else. If I look down here, I have another open circle on 6, and then I move forward out here. And I get to go forever. So this bottom arrow says that I'm going right forever. All right, so that means I literally get to go everything from negative infinity to positive infinity, but I do not get to hit 6. Okay, so we have a couple ways to say this. We can say x is everything less than 6, and x is everything greater than 6. I can be everything before it, and I can be everything after it. I just can't be 6, okay? Another way you could write this, and I'll put this note down here, is x is not 6. All right? It's another way you could kind of show that. Basically, I'm all real numbers. I just can't be 6. All right? That's my restriction on the domain. All right, let's look at the range now. I'm going to go ahead and take all this pink graph off. Keep your arrows. All right, now let's look at our range. So if I'm starting from the bottom here, I'm saying how far down do I go? Well, I've got this arrow that says I'm going down forever. If I follow it up, I'm going all the way up to negative 2, and there is an open circle. I don't get to be negative 2. And I also don't get to use any other number until I get right here on the 0 level, okay? At that 0 level, I can use all of these numbers, but I can't be a 2. Unless I look on the other side. On this other side, I can go up forever, and I get to keep going all the way up to infinity. All right, so let's recoup. What did we use? Well, I started all the way down here at negative infinity, and I came up to a negative 2, but I did not touch it. Then I have this gap. I start back at 0, and I get to go all the way up to positive infinity. So here's how we're going to say that. I can be everything lower than negative 2, and I can be everything higher than 0. We just have to be careful with our equal to's. Okay, so let's check this guy out. If I'm saying I'm going to be everything less than negative 2, that was an open circle, so I'm not going to put a nor equal to on him. Okay, and I'm also allowed to use anything that was bigger than 0, so anything higher than 0. But right here, since I did touch that line, or make a note of that, since I did touch 0 line, I am going to put an equal to under him. All right, so one more time. I can be anything left of 6 and right of 6. I just can't be 6. That's why we're not equal to. Those are open circles. On the range, we can be anything lower than negative 2, but not equal. There's an open circle. Or I can be anything higher than 0. That one touches the line, so that one I do go ahead and put an equal to on. Okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this off. And we are done with that first problem. Let's go ahead and look at the second one. I'm going to go through the second one a little bit quicker because there's no arrows. All right, so if I'm looking for my x's, it looks like I start here on negative 5. If I trace it I get to use all of these numbers up to 1, okay? Then I have to take a break. I gap. After that, I pick it back up at 2, but it's an open circle, and I get to go everything up until 5, and 5 is where I stop. All right, so when we write this out, we're saying my x's go from -5, that's a closed circle. I get to go all the way up to 1, that's a closed circle. And then I have to take a break. I'm going to pick it back up at 2. I am not going to be equal to because I am an open circle. And I'm going to go everything from 2 all the way to 5. Let's see if I can fit that on here. All the way to 5. And at 5, I do have a closed circle. So it should go closed, closed, open, closed, just so that you're with me. All right? All right, I know when there's 2 sandwiches, it seems like there's a lot of numbers, but we're just writing them in order straight from left to right. So I started at 5, I stopped at 1, so I got to be all of these. And then I started at 2, and I went to 5. And I got to be all of these, just not the 2. Okay? All right, let's erase these. Let's go ahead and look at our range. So range, we're going from bottom to top. Okay, if I start at the bottom, the lowest number I ever hit was this -2. All right, so if I say I started at -2 over here, I have an equal to. So -2 is where I started. And I follow it all the way up to 1. But I can't be 1 right here. Let's see if I'm 1 anywhere else. Oh yeah, I'm allowed to be 1 right here. So that's no problem. I did stay. I hit 1. I get to include that. So I'm keeping going, keeping going. I get to be all the numbers higher than 1 up to 4. That's the highest I ever got. So the lowest was -2, the highest was 4. We're everything in between here. So I'm going to say from -2 with a closed circle all the way up to 4. And because I touched the line, I am going to be an equal to on him also. Make a note of that. That's because we did touch that line. Okay. All right, if you need to listen to the explanation again, go ahead. Otherwise, we're moving down to our multiple choice questions. All right, so we have 3 multiple choice here. These are my favorite kind of questions because you should be able to eliminate 2 options every single time just based on whether they ask you for the domain or the range. Okay, so let's start with that part. What does range mean, X or Y? Range should mean your Y. So right there, if it's looking for a Y, I'm going to cross off A and B. I don't want the X's. If I look on problem 4 and I'm doing the same thing, if it's asking me for the domain, that's the X. Right away, I'm going to cancel off anything that does not have X. Well, G of X is the same thing as Y, remember? So I am not going to use B or D. All right, we're moving along. On my last one, number 5, range means my Y. So right away, I'm only going to worry about Y numbers. On this one, it doesn't tell me any X's or Y's, so there's nothing to eliminate yet. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and go back to 3. If I'm looking at the Y's, I'm looking on my graph how far down and how far up I went. So if I'm looking at the bottom here, make a mark on the bottom, mark on the top. You guys could do this with your pencil. All right, I'm saying how far down did I go? That's my lowest point. How far up did I go? That's my highest point. So it looks like if I zoom in a little bit, the lowest I went is a -2. The highest that I went is a -1. Both of those are open circles. Okay, remember that open circles means that we want these symbols. Closed circles would mean we would put equal to's. Since they're both open, our answer is going to be C. All right, we did not have any closed circles on that problem. Let's go ahead and try number 4. Number 4, we're talking about X's. So when we're looking for our X's, we're going to be going from left to right. So I'm going to put a line on both sides from left to right. Farthest left I ever went, my graph starts right there. And I don't need a line on the right because I'm going to infinity. All right, so if I say the very first number I hit was a -4 right here, I'm going everything to the right. Well, everything to the right is getting bigger, so I must be using all of the numbers that are greater than -4. That one looks like C. All the numbers to the right are all the numbers that are getting bigger than -4. Okay. All right, We have one more problem. Last one says, what is the range for 5? So remember that range is looking up and down. So if I zoom in over here, I say, what's the farthest down? What's the farthest up? Farthest down, lowest I ever got was right here. This is on 2. How far up did I go? There's no limit. I'm going up forever to that positive infinity. All right, so if I read the ones, could it be all real numbers? No. I did not have anything going downhill forever. No arrow pointing down. All real numbers greater than 2. Well, I like that, but greater than 2 implies that it would be an open circle. I don't have an open circle. I actually touch that line. And if you touch a line, that means you're using an equal to. Okay, so let's try our next one. All real numbers greater than or equal to 2. Yes, this or equal to is what guarantees that you're getting this question right. So go ahead and circle up H. J doesn't make sense because it's talking about left to right. It's using the 3 on both sides. So it's thinking about domain even without the arrows. Okay. All right, we are all done. If you need to copy anything else for problems 3